You're locked in with Kemi Maye, and this is Grind Theory. I'm a mom, a veteran, a coach, and a woman who's rebuilt herself from rock bottom more than once. But this podcast isn't about my story, this is about you. Every week, I'm showing up with 10 minutes of power. No fluff, no filter, just fuel for your grind, peace for your mind, and a voice that reminds you you're built for this. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you are becoming. So let's take a deep breath, fix that crown, and lean in. Because the world doesn't need a new version of you, it needs the real version. Welcome to Grind Theory, and let's get to work. What if I told you that the thing you thought was over, dead and buried, could live again? What if I told you that the valley you're standing in right now is not your grave, but your comeback stage? We all have moments when life leaves us feeling empty, when it feels like everything we've worked for has crumbled. Sometimes it's not even one big thing. It's the small, consistent disappointments that pile up until we don't even recognize ourselves anymore. It feels like your dreams dried before they could even bloom. It feels like strength left without warning. It feels like hope was the first thing to pack up and walk away. But here's what I know. The valley is not your final destination. The valley is just a place where God shows off His resurrection power. When everything is stripped away, you're left with one undeniable truth. If you're going to rise, it's going to be because God Himself breathed life into you. Maybe you've been in a season where you couldn't hear Him clearly. Maybe you've been running on empty for so long that you've convinced yourself that this is your new normal. But God specializes in making impossible situations impossible to ignore. He takes what people have written off as dead and He brings it back, not just to life, but to purpose. So no matter how scattered life is right now, no matter how long you've been staring at the same broken pieces, don't count yourself out. Because the same God who spoke to a valley full of dry bones is speaking to you today. Now, let's hop into the Word. Today, we're in Ezekiel 37, verse 5, and this is what the Sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath into you, and you will come to life. Here's the scene. The prophet Ezekiel is given a vision by God. He is led by the Spirit into a valley. And it's not filled with people. It's filled with bones. Not fresh bones, but dry bones. Dry, lifeless, brittle, long forgotten bones. In Jewish culture, burials were sacred. So a field of exposed bones represented shame, hopelessness, and abandonment. This vision was a picture of Israel's spiritual state, a nation that had lost its power, identity, and hope while in exile. But God asks Ezekiel a question. Son of man, can these bones live? And Ezekiel, not wanting to answer wrong, says, Sovereign Lord, you alone know. And then God commands him to speak, not to people, but to the bones. As Ezekiel starts to prophesy, there's a rattling sound. Bones start snapping back into alignment, tendons appear, and flesh cover them. And finally, God breathes his spirit into them, and they start to stand up. Not as shattered remains, but as a vast army. This was a clear message that no matter how hopeless something appears, when God's word and his spirit meets revival happens. I have some affirmations I want you to repeat after me. I am standing in a place where God's breath is about to transform my life. I am standing in a place where God's breath is about to transform my life. What looked dead is coming back to life. What looked dead is coming back to life. I will rise again, stronger, bolder, and more unshakable. I will rise again, stronger, bolder, and more unshakable. God's word over my life is more powerful than what I can see in front of me. God's word over my life is more powerful than what I can see in front of me. I am not buried. I am planted for revival. I am not buried. I am planted for revival. Now, before we get out of here today, I want you to open up your journals. If today's message hit your heart, share this episode with someone who just needs a reset and a reminder. Progress over pressure every single time. Have a good day.